Yes, Jason's discovered Giffords.
Oh my God, it's so good. If you guys have never had Giffords ice cream, you're not living.
I can't remember. I don't think it's even carried down in southern grocery stores.
All right, we're live on Facebook too. On YouTube too. Good to go. All right, holy smokes, everything's working.
Hi, Christina. Our neighbor's on. How's the homestead? More importantly, how's the pool temperature?
Yeah. Tell me you've gotten into it and gotten to use it. All right, well, it is 9 o'clock. We're going to cue the music. Let's go. Giddy up.
I know who I am. I'm a dude playing the dude disguised as another dude. Strengthen on us, strengthen on us, strengthen on us.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Why so serious? I could crush you like a worm.
At my signal, unleash hell.
Do or do not. There is no try.
All right, for the first
YouTube
time.
working, huh?
Yeah, we got Facebook and YouTube going. For all of our peeps on YouTube, we have not forgotten about you. The software that we use to stream to both live, Caster, has been having some battles with YouTube. I will be uploading the first 2 episodes of Living Tactically that we did earlier this week, probably tomorrow or over the weekend, so you won't miss it. We appreciate everyone. I wish I could get everyone to watch over YouTube. That's the only way we'll ever make money on this, but that's not what it's about anyways. It's about saving lives and trying to get through these, very trying times with everything going on. So I did enough rage in the past few days, and so now it's time to get away from that and talk about some solutions. So, I was sitting there thinking earlier today, I'm like, what can I do to start giving people tips that not everyone else is saying, and provide some really good stuff going on out there. So in the Trident Shield Guardians group, I just posted a top 10 things you should do while you're driving to stay safe. Mm-hmm. Some of them you guys may know, and I posted it with a photo that a friend of mine, Paul Race, had just shown, which is a picture of Reginald Denny. If you remember, he was the poor truck driver that got beaten near to death and his brain damage because a mob of protesters and rioters pulled him out of his car and hit him in the head with a brick. Mm-hmm. It was just absolutely disgusting, but, that's what happens in these things. So I want to go over them for you guys so we can start off with some value to you. So if you're only going to watch for 10 minutes and you want to walk away with top 10 tips of what to do while you're driving during this time of domestic terrorism, here we are. Always stay in the outside lane. All right. Always leave room to maneuver around the car in front of you. Sterilize your car of all decals, stickers, etc. If it's legal in your state, buy 2 cans of bear spray, which is the small fire extinguishers, and keep them in the doors of your 2 front doors of your car.
And where would someone go to find out if something like that is legal in their state?
You're going to have to go to the police website. I believe you can go to the state police website and they carry.
Okay.
Yeah. Use Waze or another app like it to show you if protesters are blocking the road ahead of you. Never get out of your car. Do not stop if you can help it. Keep moving. Mm-hmm. Defend yourself if you are in fear for your life or the life of others, and be able to articulate that. I'm going to expand upon that here in a second. That's a very complex part of this. Call 911 and tell them you are in fear for your life. Mm-hmm. And then have a robust medical kit in your car. All right. So the one I want to get in there is being able to articulate you are in fear for your life. Hey, Kate, good to see you here over here on YouTube. I really appreciate you being over there. And I'm glad that everything's working. I'm so pumped. I've been trying to get this dialed in for so long.
All day.
So long I've been trying to do this, guys. You have no idea. To have all the technical gizmos work
and
right.
the internet to back it up.
Yeah. So, start looking for some high-end production content now that I got this done. KS Jax, I'm glad you're on here. I really want to have a long discussion. Your post about Matt has touched me. I've been very harsh on him, and I want to talk it through with you a little bit because I respect the heck out of you. I just want to come at this from, maybe we can, help understand everybody or people understand what's going on out there. So being able to articulate that you're in fear for your life. All right. When I first became a cop and I was writing my police reports, I had a very wise sergeant who'd been on the PD forever. And he read one of my early reports and I had to pull my firearm on someone. And he threw my report back at me and he said, nowhere in here does it say you're in fear for your life. And I'm like, well, I wasn't afraid for my life. He's like, did you have your firearm out? And I'm like, yeah. Why'd you have your firearm out? And I said, the team, because tactically that was the right thing to do, whatever. Then you were in fear for your life. I'm like, it wasn't scared. I just,
the fear word.
The fear word really gave me pause. And then he helped me write that report and helped me swallow my pride and write things in the right way. And if you ever have to defend yourself and use lethal force, you better be in fear for your life and you better write it accordingly. And it better sound like a Stephen King novel. All right, Stephen King actually lives 2 blocks down the street from us on our very same street. You need to go over the look in their eyes, why you're afraid, be able to articulate that to people, and you need to call 911 and share that with them and let them know that you are in fear for your life. And, if you've got a camera in your car, great. Nowadays, I would go everywhere with the camera turned on. Would be number 11.
Did you say a dash cam?
Yeah, dash cam, so they can see. And don't stop. I'm not telling you to plow through them at 40 miles an hour or 70 miles an hour and kill anyone. But you don't have to stop, and you can slow roll through there. And up until they break one of your windows, you don't have to gun it. They break your windows and they start coming through. Now it's on, right? And you can severely articulate why you're in fear for your life. Now, I can come up with many reasons to fear for my life. They knew I was a Trump supporter because I'm not a celebrity, but I'm on the internet and people know of me. And they're beating up Trump supporters. Well, I could articulate that. I'm a former cop. I know they're killing cops right now. That's another one, right? So I'm a former Navy SEAL. Maybe I have weapons in the car. There's a lot of reasons for me to want to defend my car and not let strangers in my car to do whatever the heck they want.
Sure, yeah.
Right? So having that in your mind ahead and being able to articulate that to the police in 911, so that's on the record. So when you're called into court and they're trying to call you all these names, because that's what they'll do. Let's look at what just happened. A career felon. If you guys haven't seen Candace Owens' video, I posted it on my page. She's literally the bravest woman in America right now. I can't tell you how much death threats she must be getting and how many people must hate her because she's the only one with the courage to call this as it is. All right, so these are her numbers that she pulled from the FBI. All right. She, gets on there and says, hey, goes through the report and talks about what, who, Floyd was. And
yeah, in a live stream video that she titled, "I do not support George Floyd. He is not my martyr."
Right. She's saying that you want to choose a martyr, choose the poor guy who got killed defending a pawn store, who did everything for the right way for 50 years. George Floyd was high on methamphetamine and fentanyl. He was a career felon. Do you want to get into what he did when he broke into that house with a pregnant woman?
As best as I can remember it, sure. And I'll frame all of this, and she framed it multiple times in her video that in her giving any context to him as a person and his life and the event that led up to the arrest does not in any way excuse the actions of the police officer. It's important to kind of be able to separate those two. But in getting to know George Floyd, he had kind of an extensive in and out of prison rap sheet. And the one that was the real kicker was that he had been involved in a break-in of a pregnant woman's house, a black woman. And he was in a car with several other guys. He was the driver. One of them had gone up to the house to knocking, pretending to be some technician or something like that, to gain access to the house. They broke in, and George Floyd put a gun to this pregnant woman's belly, and basically was the one who kind of kept her, was the captor while they ransacked the house and took some belongings and stuff, and then they were arrested later. But that's the kind of information that is certainly not being circulated right now, as everyone is.
Yeah, and I want to say that
life.
he did not deserve to die for that, and that cop needs to go to jail for doing what he did. Now, that's not what I'm saying, but let's not make him look like the Pope either, or some choir boy. All right, he also had drugs on him. They have video of him with drugs falling out of his pocket, and the media won't show that either. There's such a lack of courage going on out there right now to talk about this. You want to talk hard, you want to get real, here is real. And this is from Candace Owens, all right? Police have a really hard time, and the police, have an impossible job, okay? There is no easy way to effect an arrest, all right? And, if you resist, I would love to have Candace Owens on the show, Brandy.
I don't think we're big enough for her, Brandy.
But this myth that white police are killing everyone, she dove into that too. And if you remember, we talked about this last night with Tucker Carlson, and she said there was last year there was 9 black men who were killed by a white cop, unarmed black men that were killed by a white cop. All right, and then we know that most of those were justified. I think 2 weren't.
According to the Tucker, it was 4.
All right, 4 weren't.
Yep.
All right, so 4 out of 350 million people, right? I don't have the accurate numbers, but you can understand the hundreds of millions of people that are here. All right. Now, to put that in perspective, let's look at murders. 6% of the population, which is black males, account for 44% of the murders in the entire U.S. All right. 6% of the population, being black males, account for 44% of all murders in the U.S. All right? That is insane. Does BLM and do all these groups and all these celebrities care about the rest of those, or only just the 9 that happened by white cops? Because obviously, or all those are the victims, I'm sorry. And then those black murderers, which are, again, 44% of them in the United States, are mainly against black people, right? Overwhelmingly, races kill each other more than other outside of the race because they're around them more, right? So you don't hear about the thousands of other murders out there because, you know what, they don't fit a political narrative, right? So the only ones we care about, or BLM cares about, which is such a joke of an organization, the only ones they care about are the ones that white cops do. They don't care about the thousands and the thousands and the thousands of the ones that other people do. And that's why this thing stinks of hypocrisy, and why this thing is so, such a lie. I just watched last night for an hour. I couldn't take it anymore from actually probably a little bit more, an hour and a half, from like 10:30 to midnight, a little after midnight. I think I watched the DC protest. Some liberal, protester was broadcasting, from the front lines. And, my heart goes out to those freaking National Guard troops. I watch them and deal with utter insanity with dignity and professionalism while they were being taunted and called every other thing and all this other stuff. And it's an unwinnable situation. And, my hearts go out to every one of them. And I have nothing but mad respect. I can't believe to this day, it blows me away that more crazy stuff isn't happening, that there hasn't been more pushback, that there hasn't been more active shooters. There have been hundreds of police officers injured and, too many of them killed. But I it's just amazing to me that there hasn't been backlash. There hasn't been retaliations. And I just praise God for that, because that would just make things 1,000 times worse.
Yeah, that's the truth.
You know, so the other stat I want to get into before I turn this page is 50% of all violent crime, 50% of all violent crime of 350 million people is committed by 13%, and that is by blacks. All right. That is the numbers that Candace Owens put out that blew my freaking mind. I searched for those numbers and I couldn't find them. She's a better researcher than I am, and she found them. And holy smokes. You know, but they want to act like the victims and all this. Now, I'm not saying racism doesn't exist. Racism exists. It exists in all races. I'm not saying they don't have a hard existence. I feel for anybody who lives in a high crime area that gets pulled over 15 times on the way home from work because people are looking for a suspect because a murder was just committed and they match the description. Mm. I'm sorry for that. It sucks. I don't have the answer. But the answer of burning down cities and putting out this false narrative that cops are hunting black people is a lie. It's a lie. These guys are risking their lives for them. You want to see the inner city burn? You want to see murder rates go into the tens of thousands? Pull the police department out of bad neighborhoods and watch what happens.
Well, they're working on it, aren't they?
Yeah, they're trying to defund them right now and watch what happens.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how much of the Boston Police Department goes to just protecting those neighborhoods and at the expense of all the other neighborhoods. But that's where they have to throw all their resources because that's where the fire is burning all the time. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'd like to turn the page on that. And I know, you know, what I said. Hey, Dwight, good to see you over there on YouTube. I'm glad you to catch us over there. Sorry, we've been neglecting our YouTube audience there. It's just our software wasn't talking to all Facebook and there at the same time. So good to see you from Wyoming. So I want to get into General Mattis. Okay, I've been really hard. I'm not a big fan of officers on a whole. And a friend of mine, a team guy friend of mine, KS Jax, who's on here, was really, you know, who's a Trump supporter like myself. Hey, Candace, good to see you. Best realtor in the world. When's our house going on the market, Candace? I'll let you plug it on the show.
Yeah.
But anyway, so KS Jax, who's, you know, one of the great team guys, way better team guy than I ever was, and
he's one that you worked with or
went through training with.
Okay.
Yeah, never had a chance to work with him. But anyways, he, you know, put out a thing, you know, he's a Trump supporter and he was critical of Trump, you know, criticizing Mattis and said it was a missed opportunity in leadership. And I agree with that. Trump could have said it different. I could have said it last night, but I'm so damn hot and I'm so damn whatever. Instead, you know, I said, you know, some things that I probably, you know, shouldn't have said. But this is my thoughts behind Mattis right now. Right now, America needs to be on one team, right? We all need to support the president right now. He's the president. He's the leader of the free world right now. And every one of these deep state trolls that comes out and second guesses him in Monday morning quarterbacks and does any of those things in the middle of a firefight from a general who's done 50 years in the trenches to be second guessing his OIC right now when we need unity, when cities are burning, cops are being murdered, and this guy has no concept of this and no idea about that responsibility. It just busted my ass and made me so freaking mad that here's a guy who's demanded utmost obedience from all of his troops all these years. And here he is right now doing this to the president at the worst time, aiding and abetting all of our enemies. Iran, Russia, China, domestic terrorists, foreign terrorists. He helped every one of those with that op-ed. Every freaking one of them. And I know you can't type that fast, Carrie. But that's my thoughts on that. If you want to call into the show, let me know right now. I'll call you in. I'd love to get your takes on this. You know, and we can go from there. I'd love to have you on. If you don't want it, that's cool. I totally get it, bro. But I'd love to get your input on, you know, if what I said makes sense or, you know, if what I said didn't make sense. But, you know, I know a lot of people who are fiercely loyal to Mattis. And while he was in, a lot of people said whatever. And then, you know, I saw some stuff on Carrie's threads. Hey, what's up, Dustin from North Carolina? Good to see you. who called out a bunch of stuff that, that I didn't know, but didn't surprise me because rising to the
about him
and things that went on in the military and a bunch of other different things.
That's
because
stuff that just recently.
no, it was
came
stuff
out,
throughout
or
his
was-
career
okay.
that some people knew about that I just had no way of knowing. And of course, rising to the star of 4-star general becomes a very political.
Yeah.
You have to be a political animal. They don't just promote knuckle dragging operators to that.
Right.
That you have to have a persona and you have to have politics and you have to have juice to get up there. So again, that's what I saw. I mean, I learned a lot from that thread anyways, Gary. So, and Monty was on there, and I believe it was misleadership. I wish Trump had taken, to go back 2020, hindsight 2020, I wish Trump, had been cooler than what he is.
You're saying with how he responded to
Yeah,
Mattis, or how he's
I think he
handled
should
the
have thanked
entire
him
thing?
for his 50 years of service and left it at that. And then turned around and said what he's going to do, which is what Kerry was saying. It was a misleadership opportunity. And I think we would all agree on that.
Yeah, well, playing it cool is not exactly Trump's style.
It's not, but that's why we love him, because you never have to wonder what that guy's thinking. He's not a political animal. He's genuine and honest. And yeah, he's abrasive, and yeah, he can be a total jerk, but at least he's not stabbing you in the back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's something. Best house in Earlysville coming to market next week. 5286 Markwood Road. MLS listings. We can drop them in there. It's amazing. If you want to talk about how great that house is, Candace, it is a prepper's dream. Prepper's dream.
We'll have you call in when the listing's ready.
Yeah, exactly.
Practice the pitch.
So, I'd love to hear what the rest of you guys think about the whole Mattis thing. It really confounded me. I wanted, who doesn't want somebody named Mad Dog Mattis to be cool? And
I know that. I mean,
badass? And we were all fired up because we all bought into it. And then all these generals, when we find out, they're all deep state trolls, which makes sense. They've worked for multiple presidents, 50 years. I don't even know how many presidents that is. Somebody do the math for me, So anyways, it's just, the deep state gets in there. McRaven just kills me. The guy who does the make the bed speech, which Lauren listened to and still does every morning, and I refuse to.
Sure, where you come up with this stuff.
I don't know. You do it on your own, but me, I just do it despite him because he told me to make my damn bed.
Wait, are you saying that I make the bed every morning, or that I listen to him every morning?
Bed.
I thought you were saying that I listen to his
the bed every
his little
morning
video every
because
morning.
Of, what his speech.
Oh
Is that why you do it?
no,
Okay, good.
no. And most days I give up because I know that you're just going to come ruin it with Oda Pup anyways. So
That's when we do our WWF. Me and the Pitbull get on the bed and just go to town.
I just give up on anything clean, really.
So, I saw, on the news today, that the protests seem to be calming down, and I don't know how long that's going to stay that way. I also saw that, like we talked about last night, that AG Barr is looking into the people who are organizing this stuff, and they are finding foreign actors, foreign governments are participating in this, and trying to destabilize the U.S. Imagine that. So when you're
pretty
supporting these jerks, that's what you're supporting America's enemies.
That's pretty crazy that it goes that far. Not surprising. It's
No.
still crazy.
And to be crystal clear, we do the same thing with Iran. We
Okay.
back their protesters.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. That's a good perspective.
So it's part of the thing. You try to destabilize the country because it makes them easier targets, right? And it's sucking up valuable resources. How much overtime and what do you think the cost is of this whole thing? What is the cost going to be? How many billions of dollars that we totally
Huge.
don't have?
Between the efforts that it just in managing it right now, and then the cleanup, rebuilding, all of that recovery aspect, huge.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just crazy.
I can't even fathom how much this is going to cost in the end, and how many lives are going to be forever changed from this, and it's all based on a lie, and that's just the worst thing ever. I could see if this was something legitimate. But the guy's going to jail. All the other officers are going to be tried. As long as they don't try to overreach, I can't, I just don't understand it. Smarter people out there other than me maybe understand that. But so let's get into some other solutions, okay? Let's get into home protection now. All right, let's talk about riots coming to your house and what you're going to do. So I know this is going to sound far-fetched to some people and all that, but if you live in a neighborhood and you know that protests have come down your road, if you live downtown Baltimore, all right, you need to prepare like a hurricane's coming. Back in California, when I was in Florida in the Panhandle, I was there when Katrina and all those hurricanes came through that one year where we just got no breaks.
Yeah.
And literally we had plywood, hangers ready to hang in our windows and screw them in to defend our house. You just zing them right in there. They protect your doors, your walls, and you harden your house.
I did see, though, that stores that had put up just the plywood on the windows, they were just ripping those right off. So some stores had put up the barbed wire, the spiked barbed wire that actually has
razor wire.
Yeah, razor wire over the boards so that people couldn't pull the boards
That's
down
smart.
as much because the boards weren't doing anything.
So Candace said what's crazy is that most people with the time on their hands to go on it, go and cause chaos are the ones making more money off unemployment than they do actually working. So criminal. They're destroying the small businesses that are paying for them to stay home. Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason to this, Candace. It is literally, and what's sad, I was talking to my pastor today, and what's sad is that, it's the most, and Tucker Carlson covered this tonight. It's the most powerful in the world, who want to get rid of Trump, using the most vulnerable of the world, and using their rage to use them as a pawn. And that's why you've got Bernie bros in cars handing out bricks and giving them bats and doing all this stuff while
Someone else to do the dirty work.
Someone else to do the dirty work for them, and it's just sad. It's just sad to see people take the bait and the hook and go with it, and it's just a shame. Sorry, I had to burp off to the side there. I'm really enjoying my Sam Adams brew tonight. This has been such a depressing time that I stopped drinking coffee and I decided to start having beers, just to take the edge off. But
we're going to cap it because I think the depressing times aren't going to stop before the beer. We'll have to ration.
So I've been trying different brands. I try to support local breweries wherever I go, and I've been trying to find a good Maine brewery. And what's the can that I have downstairs? The Allagash wine.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near as good as Summer Ale. Now, there might be some good gummy bears. Yeah, I keep waiting for your special gummy bears to show, Victor. Tim, there will be a plea. Yeah, Tim, there definitely will be a plea. They're going to overcharge so they can definitely plead down. I totally agree with that. But
do you think, not to get off gummy bears and beer, but what are the chances that overcharging with the trying to get the plea would backfire?
The way it would go is if they set some impossible standard that the jury can't convict them on it. That there's somebody in there saying that they didn't meet that high burden of murder. I think they're up to murder 2 now, not murder 1.
They're at murder 2, yeah.
So
the last I heard it.
Yeah, and I don't know what they're charging. I don't know what the level of charge was for the 3 other guys.
Aiding and abetting murder 2.
Candace said, I'm sure Sunshine Lauren is still drinking tea.
Yes, I am. Tea. I told him that the way to get me to drink this summer would be G&T's.
Yeah, so you're going to start seeing
summer refreshing.
You're going to start
G&Ts.
seeing some mint in a G&T in a nice crystal clear glass glistening.
Mint, lime.
So anyways, I'm not I'm a beer guy, but I'm not a connoisseur, but I don't like acidic beer. So I tried Allagash White because it's supposed to be I like wheat ales. I love, my favorite beer in the whole world is Sam Adams Cold Snap. It's just so crisp and refreshing and amazing. And their summer ale is really good as well, which is what I'm drinking right now. And I try these other ones, man, and everyone just jumps on the hop train and they just try to make everything so hoppy. And hoppy is so acidic and bitter to me that I don't enjoy it. So if you know something that that I may like, I'd love to try it, man. You know, I love over in Germany, I loved Hefeweizen. Hefeweizen. I hope I said that right.
Drinking it or saying it?
Drinking it. I really like, the Sam Adams Summer Ale and Cold Snap is really the best, and I really am. So Victor's out there where this started. He's 6 miles from the epicenter of all this madness, and he had some really good stories. He called me earlier today. I'm getting them. My sister, who lives in Oakland, the whole C-19 thing, put a COVID-19 break on shipping them over. Okay. All right. I'll wait for my gummy bears,
bear action.
Victor. All right. Hey, Dan, good to see you. I hope everything's safe there in North Carolina for you. I hope things aren't going too crazy there. So back to homes.
So we had boards on windows, but be prepared that if they really want to get in, boards aren't going to stop them.
Boards aren't going to be enough. And the razor wire over the boards is really nice. I like that. And then you're going to want a high-capacity weapon, which there's none better than the AR-15.
And if you can't, there would be the barricading option. But if you're not allowed to have...
If you're not allowed to have that, then you're going to have to try to barricade yourself. Getting on your roof is your best bet. Having access to getting up in your attic into your roof, unless you're in a really high place, if the house is on fire and you can't get off, that's something else, which you have ladders. But here's what I recommend. I recommend the AR-15. I recommend hollow point bullets. All right. The reason why you want hollow point bullets is because they don't shoot through as many things. They mushroom and they don't penetrate through barriers, right? They're not going to go through 3 people or go through one room into the next room, and you're not going to know what you're doing. All right. That is what you're going to want. If you remember during the Rodney King riots, the Korean or whatever grocers on their roofs with AKs and ARs are the ones whose grocery stores didn't get looted. Why? Because they were up there saying you're not here, right? So if you got to defend yourself, you got to be able to. You better make sure that you have the right weapon. Don't be that idiot who charged the crowd with a sword and got brained. That was just so damn hard to see. We got Peter over here, our SRT Concept, Bissell Brothers in Portland, good beer. All right, hey, that's important. Shock Top. I'm going to try Shock Top is one. Is Shock Top the one that is the wheat citrus beer that people put oranges in?
It sounds right.
I think so. I had a 6-pack of that, and I'm like, man, I can't put an orange in a beer. I don't feel right putting an orange in a beer. But you know what? I think I'm going to have to give that a shot. Because right now I'm in the Sam Adams zone.
Fruit flavored beers.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say that? Is that going to take your...
Shh.
Oh, shh. Sorry.
So, and getting good training with your AR-15 or with any weapon that you have, Peter from SRT Concepts over there in Portland, Maine, or just outside of Portland, Maine. He's in Cumberland. He's really great. He's, retired SWAT officer from Portland PD. Great guy, personal friend. Can't get much better than training with him. There's other ones out there all around the country. Find the one that suits you, and train with it, and make sure that you're not just shooting paper and steel. Doing some force on force where you're actually having to shoot, move, see, cover, and see how it is and how hard it is to hit a moving target or how easy it is to hit a moving target. Right? What you're going to find out is staying still is a very, very, very bad idea unless you're behind some really great cover. So
with these protests, we've heard so much about businesses being looted and burned and all of that, and then the housing complexes that are kind of in these more downtown areas.
Yep.
How much have they gone into the more residential neighborhoods where it's houses? Have they gone into that kind of area at all? I know that there was that one thing of that high profile athlete or whatever who was encouraging and saying, not in my neighborhood, go back to wherever.
Yeah, some CNN retired NBA player sitting there saying burn it all down, and next thing you know they're in his neighborhood and he's calling them all these different names and all that stuff. Of course they want it everywhere else but not there, right?
But so as far as, I mean, generally, if you're in a kind of a more out, not right smack in the middle of the urban area in houses, spread out houses, your risk is a lot lower right now. Is that still fair to say?
Yeah, I think it is fair to say. It just all depends. I mean, people are going to use this as an excuse if they know you have. If you're a jeweler and your jewelry store is closed and they think you have it in your house, they're going to use it as an excuse to break into your house. The criminal mind, that criminals are not. I mean, there are some stupid ones, but a lot of them are really smart. And you know, they're going to be watching for patterns, and they're going to be watching for people who you know, who are business owners who move all their stuff in, close down their shop. Everyone's working from home right now.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, people who are jewelers people are breaking in their house in the attempt to get them to open up their safe and give them everything they got in their house. You know, that type of stuff. So again, you know, your home, you know, there's some really cool things you can do to harden your home, particularly if you're in a 2-floor home. I've been a big advocate for putting like a sliding grate at the top of your stairs. So if your family lives in a 2-story home, usually all the bedrooms are upstairs and downstairs is stuff, right? So if you're in fear for your family and you don't have a firearm, you don't want to go down, or you just want to make your upstairs your point of no return, you know, putting in a nice grate that slides down and locks into the floor, they can retract into the wall, into the ceiling. You wouldn't even notice them. And to a nice kicker plate on the ground is a phenomenal way to keep people on the first floor away from your family, right? And then you can put them down around the corner out of the cone of fire, and you can do what you got to do.
Where would someone start in trying to find, like?
Well, you would just go
like that
where the
today.
commercial stores are and look at grates, and then figure out, you know, I mount it here on my ceilings and I pull it down here, or I would put it into this wall. All the materials are out there. They're all being used for stores.
So that's a good. Is it like the commercial store?
Yeah, like when you're going through the mall after hours and you see these grates that slide down. You don't see those grates normally. They retract into the ceiling or into the wall. Yeah. Using those in your home is a fantastic way to keep your family safe. That's one way. You know, getting some steel and, you know, 1/2-inch steel is a great, it's great cover. It's just really heavy. So you're not going to be able to get a lot of it up there.
And what would you suggest? Where would you suggest having that?
In your panic room / your safe room, where you're saying, hey, where I would put you and B, I'd put you behind the one place.
Assuming that I wake up, you mean?
So, yeah, exactly. I'd put you behind that barrier, and that way I know no rounds are going to make it through you.
Yep.
You know, and I put it in the floor there. I put it in the wall, so that you're kind of in this protected box.
The being that it is so heavy, with the average house construction, like, would you have to factor that in if you were like building or doing a reno?
I'm not an architect. I would imagine that it would have to be over some support beams to do it. But if you can accommodate a waterbed, you can accommodate some 1/2-inch steel.
Okay.
Right.
So water beds anymore.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, there was such a thing for a long. Or get an overly lovable 80-pound muscle dog to tackle and lick you to death, or a 130-pound dog to sit on the intruders. Yeah, unfortunately, dogs don't usually work. They're good alarm systems. They bark, but they just, time after time, you see these videos where everyone's like, oh, my dog will protect me. And usually it's only like the
little itty bitty.
What's the Chihuahuas, right?
Chihuahua, yeah.
Chihuahuas are like the most protective, you know, useless dog out there, but those are the only ones that were willing to fight to protect their people, and probably pit bulls. Although,
maybe
I don't
not
know.
ours.
Yeah, Odin.
Oh, but totally ours. I'm supposed to say totally ours, right?
Ours,
don't break into our house.
Don't break into our Oda pup will eat your face.
Lick it off. You will
lick
your face off.
Run up your body and lick your face off. But, you know, hey. So I got some confessions to make now for the people that are still left on here. You know, I've been really struggling. I've been waking up every morning more angry than the rest, just like you guys, I'm sure. And I actually had to call my pastor today. I called Ken Graves from Calvary Chapel and had to talk to him about, hey,
Which
listen.
I'll just say is awesome that he's so accessible that you could
Yeah.
just call him up and talk to him,
Yeah, to just be
especially for
able
being
to,
the new guy in town.
to be able to call them up and say, hey, I'm really struggling watching my country burn to the ground and watching all these innocent people, my brothers in blue, getting assassinated and people tearing apart our country and just getting depressed. I mean, I was just talking to Jason and he's like, I feel like, the world's we're just losing. And I'm like, that's not the case, man. And, I had to take it to prayer and I got to really set aside time. And he recommended, taking it, going and reading Psalm 37 over and over and using that as kind of like something to meditate on, of which I did. And he also used Psalm 3. But, setting some time to reset every morning where you get away from the noise, right? Get away from your TV, get away from the, the news, get away from music, get away from his, somewhere hopefully that you can go.
The baby dinosaur.
Baby, yeah. Get away from the baby, get away from everything and find your peace and quiet and get set back to zero, man. Because, it's like worrying, every day has its own case of worrying. There's enough anger to go around every day. And there's a giant Maine mosquito flying around in here. If you haven't seen Maine mosquitoes,
That's not a mosquito.
what is that?
I don't know, but that would be the extra large version. I hope it's not a mosquito.
That's a mosquito. That's one of those mosquito hawks, Maine's version. Like in Virginia, that would be this scrawny little thing.
Oh my God.
Here, it's a giant mother of all mosquitoes flying around this apartment because, that.
Yeah, Maine
around
does
that.
have some bigger. They make things a little bit.
I went to brush a mosquito off and it pushed back on me. That's all I got to say. I literally didn't hit it clean on and it was like, and it pushed against my hand. I'm like, are you kidding me? That is some durable mosquitoes, not
No
like soft.
chiggers. There's
Yeah,
no chiggers here.
That is a good thing. Chiggers are Satan's spawn. But, to get back to that, getting back to prayer really, really, really helped me reset to be able to come to you guys today and not be this frothing maniac that is just, spitting negativity. And there is far more good people in the world than there are bad. And we have to work through this together to get through this. That's why our motto is Together We Save Lives. We are here with you to answer the hard questions, to help you come up with your solutions. We want to help you come up with your solutions. If you've got a security challenge or a violence problem or whatever, you're worried or, it's in whatever, we'll do our best to help you solve them. I mean, you get access to a consultant here and I'm willing to put my brain on it and everybody I know's brain on it to help, solve your problem if you have one because, saving one life or saving somebody from tragedy is what this show is all about. So, all right, so here we go. Don't put oranges on. All right, so take a look over on YouTube on Timcast. They're talking about disbanding the police force. Yeah, Dustin, they are talking about disbanding the police force in a lot of different places. LA, I think, just said they were going to take away $150 million from their budget, which is 10% of their budget. New York City just talked about removing $1 billion from the police budget. It's just like, what do you think is going to happen with that? Like, what good is going to happen?
Yeah,
crime's going to go through the roof. People are going to be victimized.
I mean, that's
so stupid.
There's still going to be police, but because they have fewer resources, their service and their training is going to degrade. So it's going to completely backfire. Like, I don't know, other than being a symbolic gesture.
Lord's laughing at me, cracking up. It's not warm. I got to get a bucket of ice up here.
You have your mini fridge out there. You need to set
I do.
that
I
thing
need
up.
to put it in the mini fridge. But, you think about the consequences of that, Dustin, is that, it's going to be less cops. They're not going to be able to respond to crime. They're just going to be able to respond to take a report. Mm-hmm. They'll go in there and be like, what happened? If you're still alive. Or they'll take pictures of your body on the ground and whatever. And their plan is to instead spend money on counselors. So you'll have somebody there to hug
they're
you
redirecting
when you've been
the
raped or when you've been, robbed or whatever. There'll be somebody there to comfort you. instead of solve the problem and find who did it and prevent them from doing it to somebody else. I don't recognize that. I don't recognize a country that does that, and I can't imagine anyone would want to live in a place like that.
So I mean, these things have been talked about before. You know, they just kind of get thrown out there, but never acted upon. Do you think that this time they're actually going to give it a go?
I don't think so. I think it's all this is all to get rid of Trump, period. Mm-hmm. So this is all about. This is all an effort to get rid of Donald Trump. And, you know, and we're just going to see all these different things. Nothing else worked. Russiagate didn't work. I can't even remember what was the one after that. Whatever. You know, there's been so many. And then, you know, COVID-19 didn't work. So now we're going to try the old race wars, which happen every 4 years. You know, and just think about being a cop.
But how far are they going to take it, though? You know, I mean, it's like, so will they go to the point of actually
maybe some of them will defund
these
it.
budget changes?
They'll defund it, and you know what'll happen? Crime will go up, and that mayor will get unelected, and somebody will come in with change, and it'll fix it. They'll come after our guns next. They're going to try, Jason, but when they don't have a police force, how are they going to come take them? Right? And, you know, again, I want to bring up this next talking point, you know, because I've been really critical of these protests and these riots. And I remember how everyone in the world freaked out about the Virginia Second Amendment protest. And I was not kind to them because I think open carrying and walking around like you're in a war zone during a protest, you know, in full kit, full battle rattle is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. You know, and most of them were probably airsofters, and they weren't even, you know, guys who've been overseas. But there was no garbage. There was no damage. There was no harsh words. There was nothing but patriotism and love and everything else. And people called them terrorists. Mm-hmm. Those same people calling them that called them terrorists are calling rioters who murder cops like heroes. Mm-hmm. It's disgusting. Disgusting. But, you know, I mean, I just saw the head cop, the attorney general from Massachusetts, said that it's good that things are burning now because when things burn down, that's how the forest grows.
I saw that.
Are you insane? Like that is who your attorney general is, Massachusetts. Like, holy smokes, how crazy are you to even have her in there? She should be fired for saying that. But no. I'm sure she's great with LGBTQ, XYZ, LMNOP. And so, you know, hey, we'll let her stick around. Because that has something to do with her being the top law enforcement official in the world. I mean, in their state.
I'm sure it's very inspiring to all of the people who are actually on the ground right now.
I'm talking to my friends who are on PD, and every cop is demoralized.
Yeah.
I want to say in St. Louis, I saw the cops walked off the job.
Did they?
Yeah, they said we don't feel supported, and they freaking left. I wonder what happened.
Good for them.
I'm going to read up on that tomorrow, and I'll bring that story to you. Mm-hmm. But holy smokes, that had to be, you know, imagine that, watching your police force walk off when rioters are going nuts.
No, had it coming.
Yeah, well,
I'd be surprised if it only happened in one place.
Yeah, I've been lobbying for the blue flu for a long time. Have every cop in America give 30 days notice that, hey, we're not going to police on this day so you guys can see what happened and watch what happens to the world. Mm-hmm. That gives citizens time to arm, prepare, all that stuff, and then everyone, you know, and just let everyone learn the lesson. Because cops are dying right now. They're being assassinated every day. Last night, a guy came up in New York, stabbed one cop in the neck, grabbed his gun, and shot two other cops.
Yeah. Yeah, he was shot too. Good.
Did they find him? I thought there was like the FBI man force or
my understanding. Well,
anti-terrorism force.
No, I think in that specific incident, as far what I believe I heard was that he was shot too, and he was at the hospital along with the officers.
Wow, well, it's just crazy. Well, that's all we've got for you tonight. Tomorrow is Friday, and tomorrow we're going to be doing.
He got a jump start on.
We're going to be doing a lot of this.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
T.
Tomorrow you'll see a G and T for Lauren tomorrow. I
Oh,
promise
that's
you.
good. I had my
G-
tea, and then I switched to G&T.
G&T tomorrow. G&T's for maybe both of us. We'll have some cocktails. We'll celebrate making it through a week, surviving a week, and move positive into the to Monday. All right. So hey, thank you everyone. God bless you. God bless America. May God protect each and every one of us through this trying times and give our leaders the wisdom to lead us through this. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen. Try
Good
and chilled
night.
out. Peace.